So I've been avoiding you, sir, the whole weekend. So I don't want to learn anything about you. So we can put it in front of the cameras. Those guys came to me. Oh, he's 75 times world champion of this. He's doing that. Yeah. He's doing this and that.
This is my my agent over here. I guess.
Jason Portman
JP.
here.
Yeah.
JP. So to start. Let's start from the beginning. I don't want to make this long because we just have the biggest race in America.
Yeah, we're all ready to
5 minutes ago. It's almost midnight now, and thank you very much for sticking here. So American Classic Raceway.
Yeah, so American Model Car Raceway.
American
Model. So that was my father worked for them. They're the ones that did the King tracks and all the original slot car tracks in the late 50s, early 60s. So that's. My father worked for them, putting slot car centers, building slot car centers around the nation, and helping people set the tracks up, set up, merchandise the thing from start to finish. And so from there, I mean, he was. We ended up owning our own hobby shop for years, and that's how I got involved in the RC industry. Is because we had a hobby shop, and I mean, there weren't even electric cars. That's how old I am. There were slot cars were electric, but the RC cars weren't. So, but yeah, for me, it all started in a way with my father getting into slot cars and doing this in the 50s.
But were you alive when he was doing the
no,
American
so he ended up putting in 2 slot centers in Hawaii on Oahu, and when he got done, flew back. He was in Pasadena. That's where he grew up. The person who had him build those slot centers arrived at his door and said, "I'd like you to hire you to run my slot centers in Hawaii," and he loved it over there. So he picked up my sister and my mom, and they moved there. So I was born in Hawaii, and so he was there for 10 years. So I was born in '67, so it was somewhere in the '63 when they went over there, and we left in '74, somewhere around there. Anyways, the dates are tough at this time of night. But so, this whole thing was done from, for me, my career in the RC stuff started with slot cars because my dad got into it. And then from Hawaii, we ended up buying a hobby shop in Santa Clara, California, up north. And, the rest.
That was a slot car hobby shop, or is it
no, just a regular hobby shop. So, and that's when we got into the radio controlled side. So, cause my dad, because the slot car thing kind of failed pretty quick, it was a Zenith, and then he ended up managing a chain of hobby shops in Hawaii for a few years, and then we decided to do our own thing in California.
Why do they need hobbies in Hawaii? So much beach around it.
RC
in Hawaii.
I know. They loved it. My dad was a big model boater, so the boating over there was big. He actually founded the North American Model Boat Association, so it's for the radio control boats, sailboats, and power boats. And
tomorrow, when you go to the museum, you're gonna see a lot of merchandising from American Model Raceway.
I wish,
like brochures
and
pictures, folders, even signs.
Wow. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, he was deep in that. I mean, he was on the Dave Garroway show, which is like a Johnny Carson or something way back, with a slot center and with the slot tracks. I mean, and
the ones that they bring Formula One drivers to.
Yes,
drive,
he was there with like Dan Gurney, and it was like 5 celebrities. And then Gary Johnson, and my dad's like, I'm sure everybody went, who? It was just a joke, right? Because So he was quite involved with all that back in the day. So that's how I decided. I never raced slot cars in my life.
That was the first time. No,
this time is the first. I mean, I had an HO track, as a kid, but I mean nothing on a professional track.
First slot car race. That's pretty cool, man. Thank you very much.
Well, when I heard about this place, and then Jason's telling me about it, and Jim
said that there's a couple guys who haven't slept for 5 days. They need to come.
They need you. Yeah, exactly. They're like, we have fun. So I saw pictures, and I'm like, I have to go down and experience this.
Thank you very much, man. That's
support
incredible.
It. I mean, we need places like this, and it's unbelievable.
Should they call it a slot car center, like you were calling
it? Yeah, like the old days. Yeah, slot car center. Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
It's.
So you got to the hobby shop, and then of course the smelly gas, RC cars. It's so hard to clean up those things after a race.
They are. Well, thankfully, I started with these 049 powered little Jeremy cars, they were
I'm not
called. And the
familiar with
049s the motors are so unreliable and just crazy. And thankfully the electric thing came around really quickly after that. So I raced as like an 8-year-old for like 6 months, and then we got rid of the gas car and went to these electric cars. And being in Silicon Valley,
huge batteries. And
yeah, they were sub Cs, like they were
okay.
shavers, right? So we ran 6 of them in the car, and
5 laps per back.
Yeah, exactly. And then it was like they were dead. Yeah, we could run them for like 8 minutes because they were so slow, right? So we could run them 8 minutes were the time for one race, and and that was really where I got my start. And my dad always said when we had slot cars, all we dreamed about is being able to put them on the floor and steer them, right? And so
the RC came out.
The RC, and RC was like, this is unbelievable, and so we got very involved in the RC cars side.
Yeah, RC cars today as an industry is probably 100 times bigger than slot cars.
It's huge. It's
I
mean, relative.
There's a store here in Lomita called PCH. Hobbies, I think.
Yes, yeah.
I go to breakfast in the morning on Sunday morning. There's a line waiting for them to open.
I know those guys. Yeah, they do great. Theo, I think Theo Captain. Anyways, they're great people. Yeah, and they do a good business.
We have Mike who works there who comes here to race.
Okay. Yeah. There you go. See, but but the thing with the slot cars is they're so scale now. That's what interested me, and that's what my dad was like.
Beautiful now, right?
Yeah, I mean they're beautiful. They're like racing diecast cars, and it's so great.
And I think out of the hobbies is the cheapest hobby we can have because a car is literally $59.
Yes.
How much is a set of tires for an RC car? The basic one.
About $59.
There you go. Just the tires. Just the tires.
Yeah.
And I had a really bad experience with RC cars. I was really into it. One day I was like 20 something, and a friend of mine was selling a used one. It was an HPI, I think was the brand.
Yeah.
So he got me that, and this is in Brazil, so you don't have spares. It's hard to get. It's super expensive. So I put money together. I got that car, used it. Couldn't make it work, so I cleaned up everything and I finally make it work. At the time, I don't know nothing about it, but the time you have to have a box that was like the starter.
Oh, sorry. Oh, nitro car. It's a starter box. Yeah.
So a friend of mine lent to me, and I knew there was a place in Portão, which is like 1.5 hours out of there. So I brought my brother. My brother was a minor. I got a car, I think my girlfriend car, and said, let's go there on Sunday morning. So I went there. It was kind of rainy, and it's this huge track, professional track, beautiful. So we go to the second story, whatever. It was just professional. It was just me and him. Nobody even there to open the place or anything else. But we got in, and I start the car. Jump up. My brother was just looking and just like, boom. Suspension on the side. So I pick it up. There's no parts. There's no tools. I put it back on the car and came back. That was it. That was my RC experience.
That was your whole experience. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's unfortunate.
And that I tried to get suspension parts and stuff. Nobody had it for sale. It was very hard to import it. Stayed there and rot. Literally rot. That was my experience. Sorry.
Yeah, no, yours and many others, I'm
many
sure.
Others, right?
Yeah. It's you have to steer them and you have to
I don't
brake.
I don't think I have in me the capability of drive one. I really don't. I think it's just too amazing.
Just have to practice.
Both sides and braking and have the corner right. It's just. I have a friend of mine, a guy that I know that used to race slot cars with me. You probably know his name. His name is Dudu Dulac.
Oh no.
Dulac. Okay. Dulac. He got some road championships too.
Maybe I'd have to. Dulac.
When was the last time that you raced?
Well, I did it. I did it professionally for 20 years, but my last professional race, when I was getting paid to do it, was '99.
Yeah,
and then I've come back. I've been renting the 8-scale on-road cars for the last 5 years.
When you get to a field, people just look at you like, "Oh my God, who's here?" Because you kind of.
They do. I mean, when I get to a track,
to the point you get the autograph in the track.
100%, 100%. Yeah. So I mean, Kyosho just released a retro, like a tribute car kit of the '87 World Championship car I used. It was a Kyosho Ultima. So they just released that.
I don't know nothing about this man. I'm feeling ashamed.
I've
been avoiding him so not tell his stories, and there's gonna come a lot of new stuff.
Yeah, so it sold out immediately.
Have better. I don't know. Jesus, man. So, So you start to work around those gas cars with your father, and then the electric came along, and then you start to go to races, right? Because you got the beginning of RC. There were no association or races being organized.
Yeah,
But
it
as
was,
soon as you have two cars, you're racing. So
yes. So we started racing at our hobby shop. Now, Roar, which is the national organization, they had been organizing the nitro side of things for years because they started in like 63 or something doing this. And then they created the electric classes. So there was some electric classes. I think maybe the first national championship for electric was like 79 or maybe 78.
interesting. Three lap race.
Yeah, practically, yeah. That's it, yeah. So, but so we started organizing races in front of our hobby shop, and it just took off. And there's so we're just racing
Like
one type of car
in the parking lot.
in a parking lot, literally. Just set up a perimeter board track, we call it, and it's right and left, it's like a road course.
But there were no sleek tires, bigger wheels. There's nothing like that, right?
No. I mean, this was just. I mean, there was
out
just
of the box almost.
out of the box, and then whatever you could do at home, right? I mean, we had basic rules, but that's about it. So it was very fun. But we were getting 100 people at a race on just a 1-day Sunday event to race these cars, and. It was incredible. I mean, it just took off, because it was just so new and easy because everybody saw the nitro stuff.
It's so nice to look at. It's just like it's to see a RC car for the first time as a kid. It's just, oh my God, he's controlling that thing. I remember going to the beach, and there's a toy company called Estrela in Brazil. They have the Maximus. I remember the Maximus was just like a dune buggy.
Yeah.
And I remember having this kid and his father just having fun at the beach. I was like, oh my God. It's chilling. It's just like, it's amazing. Can you imagine having like a hobby shop and some sort of an organized race? More than 100 people in 79 with no internet and no two channels on your TV.
Exactly. Yeah, I know.
And that was a hobby shop, not in the one in Santa Clara, right?
It was in Santa Clara, okay. Up north, yeah. So
Santa Clara right now, there's nothing to do. Can you imagine 79 with a hobby shop up there? So yeah, 100 people is not that much.
No, we were very fortunate, and we started racing there, and it was really we had one of the first electric cars in the nation. I mean, we had two engineers from Signetics, because it's Silicon Valley there, come in with a car, and it had a solid state speed control. It wasn't, the wiper arm was what everybody's using, just like the controllers for the slot cars. Yeah. And they brought a solid state speed control and we're like, oh my God, that's so cool, and it's easy to adjust. So we started selling cars.
And that control is the one with the two.
Yeah, we had wheels, but you could do sticks too.
Okay.
But Futaba had a wheel by then. But what's funny
Futaba
is
Futaba was in the market already.
Futaba was in the market about the time the electric cars came out. Futaba's been around. There was
years.
always Futaba plane radios, not always, but I mean they were just
the plain ones.
But it was it's before my time, but craft radios were big,
But on that time, did you guys adapted a lot of things from the airplanes, right?
Yes. So some guys so we all adapted. It's hard to explain. There was no trigger on these wheels.
It's just midnight.
It was a brown box with a wheel in the front, and then the throttle was like a slide on the side. So you'd like cradle the radio and then steer it. So what we did is took Parma controllers at the time, the Ruskits, and we just had take the guts out, and then we put stanchions on the back of the radio and we put linkage to control it, so we had a trigger, and that's where the trigger started, and then eventually
thank God Slotcars.
Yeah, from Slotcars. Yeah, it was Slotcar controller on the back of the radio, and cool. So because we needed a way to hold it, so and then after that, soon after that, I think KO Propo from Japan came out with a radio with a trigger.
And how did you guys get those technologies? Like somebody doing the research, or the Japanese coming?
Well, like things? KO, that's a difference. I don't know how if they saw what we did or they were already doing it in Japan.
And at this point, when you start to get those companies involved, you guys already have like organized races?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so we're talking about late 70s.
Late 70s, yeah. Late 70s we were having, we started in 75, and by 78 we were doing a lot of organized racing. And like I said, I think first nationals was in 78 in Columbus, Ohio, or 79, if I remember.
Okay.
The first time I ran a national championship was 1980 as a 12-year-old in Fremont, California. It happened to be right there in Northern California. Sure. And then 81 it went to... Ratty's Raceway back east, and that's when I won my first national championship at 13. Was on the East Coast. Yeah.
When you started making money out of it?
That wasn't until about 1987, 86.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the scene must be huge in the late 80s.
Late 80s, it was huge. It was exploding.
A lot of magazine covers and sponsorships and...
Yeah. No, I was on the cover of a lot of magazines by the time I was 16, 15, that were around. It was kind of just skyrocketing. I mean, there's so many new companies, so many little companies bringing in.
I'm very impressed about how they get the information. Like how you get the information around to get some sort of a scene here and have somebody in Columbus or Rye organizing things and just say, okay, we're gonna get a plane and get there. It's not easy like it is today.
Yeah, there's no internet. Yeah, I don't.
No, even to get a plane to go there.
Yeah, we had. I mean, I flew from the West Coast. I flew from California to Boston, to go to my second national championship
At 13.
as a 13-year-old. My parents somehow let that happen.
With the big thing here saying that you're a minor.
Right, yeah. No, you're kidding. Back then, they just throw you on the plane and hope somebody's there to pick you up. I mean, a
lot of kids were lost on that.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of kids wandering aimlessly around airports for a while.
The milk cartons are full.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't, the information, geez, I don't know how, I mean, I was 12. I wasn't I wasn't that deep. Yeah, I was just I'm going to a race. But yeah, it was somewhat quite well organized. But a lot of the people there were all from Slotcars. I mean, they all came from Slotcars. Yeah, I mean,
maybe that's one of the reasons that Slotcars came a little down the 80s.
It might have, yeah. When once the radio control units were much more reliable, in the beginning, I'm sure they weren't, like anything. And then, but when Futaba and Kraft were making them, they were reliable as they could be back then. I mean, there were still frequencies that, we're still getting interference and runaways like you had, in a way. I mean, it was that I always laughed, after being in it a while. I said the only problem with radio control cars is the radios, because I mean, getting a glitch, if you will, as we called it, ruins your race.
That's why I never got into airplanes.
Well, yes. Yeah, takeoff's optional. Landing is mandatory. Yeah, exactly. I never got into planes either. It was a lot of work to go up and,
The airplane thing, there's a prank in Brazil, like a TV prank, that there's this actress that they say that, we're going to shoot a commercial. You're just going to have to ride the plane here, their model, right? So there's this guy controlling, and then he's, here you go, just go there. And of course, there's somebody else controlling it. So this plane goes over the hill, and there's this huge explosion over the hill, and there's like 20 people walking, people on fire, and just like, what are you doing? It's a huge prank. I've always been traumatized by that. I'm never gonna do a plane in my life. I'm gonna kill someone. I'm sorry for that. It's just like that prank always comes to my mind when people say about losing control over the radio. So you have like 15 or 18 good years of professional racing there.
Yes.
So it's probably involved like trips to Italy, trips to...
Yeah, I've traveled all over the world.
Yeah,
I basically hit every continent.
As a professional racer.
Yeah. So we were... I mean, obviously all the U.S. races, but world championships were spread out around the world. Yeah. They put them in different continents every other year. So,
And you were sponsored by Trinity.
I was sponsored by Trinity, as some people will know from Slotcars. They were very big in Slotcars.
That's a big crossing, yeah.
So, and I was their first, as a 13-year-old, I was their first driver that they sponsored. And through a mutual friend who was a slot racer in San Francisco. And he had talked to Ernie and said, you should sponsor this little kid. Okay. His dad owns a hobby shop, put some motors in there. He's pretty good, blah, blah, blah. So they sponsored me. And then it was probably 6 months later, I ended up going to the Nationals and met them at...
And now it's electric, right?
Electric, yeah. These are electric cars, 12 scale. And I met them 6 months later as a 13-year-old at Ratty's Raceway in Boston, or I think it was North Attleboro, right outside of Boston. And here's Ernie Prevetti and Tony P., who, again, slot racers might know. Tony P., I think, had Spider chassis.
Tony P. is probably the guy who most built slot car chassis in the world. He passed away 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
this is the guy for chassis, for brass.
That's what they told me that, and I knew Tony P for years, right? I mean, I grew up with those
He's from
guys.
Florida, right?
New Jersey.
He was living in Florida, I think.
No, when he passed, yeah, he was down in Florida when he
Florida,
passed. Yeah, he and Ernie both moved down there.
Yeah.
But
I don't dare say his last name because it's some sort of.
Przbilowicz.
Oh God, good. Okay.
Yeah, Przybywowicz.
Is that Polish?
He's
Probably
Polish.
Russian.
I think it's pronounced like Shibowobitz or something in
Yeah,
Polish, right?
well,
But
yeah,
the American
Tony P.
Tony P.
So no, it's
Exactly.
Tony
That's
P,
why we
yeah.
call him Tony P. So yeah, so I went back and met those guys as a 13-year-old, and they were. It was not. Yeah. So we first meet, and then at that race, I ended up winning him 2 national championships as a 13-year-old, and I think Ernie went, "Oh, we might have something here." That,
Okay.
as I'm racing adults, and I'm the youngest contestant there. So should have had 3 actually. Long story there. We won't go into that, but it's So again, slot cars always intertwined in this, and of course Team Associated, Gene Hustings, those guys doing slot cars for years and went into
the creator of the Sidewinder.
There you see. There
So
you go.
you know that his original pit box is at the museum,
Is it really?
and
That's
he has
awesome.
a huge collection of his cars.
That's great.
I know because we took a lot of pictures to send it to his daughter, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're on display, and his original box that says like the invention of Sidewinder or something like that's right there.
Oh, interesting.
You're
Yeah.
gonna have a good time tomorrow. Yeah,
I
it's
look
gonna be
forward to
cool.
it. Yeah, no, I look forward to it because there's always been an intertwining of slot cars and RC
Yeah.
because it's we're all hobbyists.
And you finally came to races.
and I finally came to try this.
Took
Yes.
you 50-something years.
50 years. Yeah, I was saying next year it will be my 50th year of racing RC cars.
It's very nice.
Yeah, and I still have fun doing it. I'm having more fun now than I ever have because it's no pressure in a way.
Pressure.
I get to go. The only pressure is what I put on myself.
Which
And
place did you finish today?
I was 28th.
This is great for the first one. There's 75 people out there.
I know. I said if I was mid-pack, I'd be really excited. And the ironic thing or fun thing was I qualified 37th.
Okay.
Now,
so it came up a little bit, yeah?
Yeah, I came up, but 37 was my father's racing number all through his
He was
time.
telling me that.
Yeah, and I thought that was really interesting because he passed away in '99, and
Okay.
so it's kind of one of those. Man, maybe I did the right thing here to come finally
Oh,
play with
nice,
slot
yeah.
cars.
Are you planning to come more often?
I would like to.
Special events.
Yeah, especially.
Just like Jason did.
I wish I lived closer to here to come enjoy this place and you guys. I mean, you have a great staff and everybody's so nice and
The
fun.
staff.
I know. Well, they're paid to be nice, but they're still
Guys
nice.
is sleeping. Why
Yeah,
is
he's
he
sleeping. Well, I don't understand. We've only been here like 14 hours. You guys probably
14?
17.
Thank you.
Yeah.
14.
Yeah. So it's but no, it's such a great facility and just
Thank
a
you very
great
much.
vibe.
Yeah, we've been pushing ourselves in big reality to make this happening, and we have so many. Like we have to lay off a guy a week ago, and ended up was with saws and screwdrivers and things that were never touched to doing things happening. Driving 50 miles to pick up the bleacher, this kind of stuff. But
Was that 4 hours here in the LA area to go?
Probably,
Yeah.
probably. Yeah. No, it's a lot of planning. You can do it, but it's a lot of planning. Get up at 5 a.m., go there, and then and come back when you can.
Right.
But sir, Joe, amazing too. I wish I could have more time to explore, and I think we could do a part 2 when we come with more time.
Anytime. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to learn where the Magic nickname came
Oh
from.
my gosh. Yeah. There's
That
a
you
story.
can tell me
There's
now,
a story
yeah.
to that. Yeah.
Because you race a car with Magic on the side today.
Yes, that was-
made by Ian, right?
It was by Ian. It was a brand.
The
and
guy who
we
won, you had the car from the guy who won the race. So
I know.
that's a good
I
start.
was very fortunate to meet him and have him be my slot mentor. If
Well,
you
because
will, slot
he's
mentor.
racing RC with you, so
He was.
might as well help you out because if anything that you say to him,
We
is gonna
traded
be
good ideas. I
Okay,
helped
good.
him with the RC. I know a few things, and
And are
he
you
obviously-
still in good shape racing RCs?
I am. I can still scare people.
I'm sorry, it's just like asking Michael Jordan if he still can dunk.
Yeah. No,
He gets
I mean,
offended every
I
time,
can
you know?
do. I mean, I can still be competitive. I'm a.
But you get involved at the same point, like preparation, getting early.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's,
Yeah.
I mean, lately I've been, because I raced electric most of my
On-road
pro career, if you will, whatever you want to call it.
And now it's on-road electric.
On-road, always on-road electric. Although one of my world championships is in off-road electric. That's what kind of...
Give it a try.
Yeah, I gave it a try. Happened to win it. No, like that's good. I'm going to go back to
How many
on-road.
world championships?
Two.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 world championships.
And how many American national?
39 national championships.
How can you get 39 championships in the 20-year
multiple classes, right?
Okay,
so so you can go to an event, an RC race, and win 4 national championships in one event because there's 4 different classes. So, yeah, you can rack them up. And I don't even know who the kids now. Most of them are kids compared to my age. They're probably getting close. There's a lot of great drivers out there doing.
Is
great
it cheaper now that the market is booming to race than it was in the 70s?
I think there's more value in what you buy. Yeah, I think what you're buying is better quality, easier to use. I'm not sure if it's cheaper. That's a good question.
More accessible for sure.
But it's more accessible.
And there's more a mix of product.
Yeah,
The mix of product is bigger, right?
It used to be get a kit and bring a Dremel to build it, right? Cut and fit everything. And now when you build a kit, it's really good quality. You can build it right out of the box, and it's ready to go.
Yeah, buy a Dremel in Brazil to do stuff.
Yeah, see, forget it, right? Yeah. So
one guy who had one and everybody used.
There you go. So these are things. I mean, obviously, I grew up here, so it's a different experience around different parts of the world.
Yeah.
But it was much harder to get an RC car on a track in the 80s and the 70s, obviously, than it is now.
Because of reliability or
reliability, product quality. I mean, just the products coming or the fit and finishes is much better. And
do you think it's more enjoyable now, or it will be more enjoyable when you have to adapt and be creative and do other things to make the car work?
I think for me it was. I think it's more enjoyable now because it's you're not concentrating so much on just getting it on the track. You can actually tune it, and you're using the product that's there, and it's just better quality. But I was also so young. I don't know. It's an interesting question because the cars are much simpler in the beginning too. I mean, there's so many more parts to these electric cars now. I mean, it's full suspension, 4-wheel drive, differentials.
Different, like you change the gear.
Yeah, and I mean everything. So I think they look cooler now, and they're much more appealing to the eye because they're just technical. But that could also scare people away. It's hard to say, right? So, I mean, one of the most popular classes to this day is still Formula One, which is one of the more simple classes out there, and
that's the one that you guys race, right?
Yeah, that's the one we race locally because you can race them anywhere. It's pretty much the one class that is always everywhere, and they're just great cars. I mean, they look like real cars.
How much is a car right today?
Top shelf, you're probably talking $500-$600 minimum, but you can, they're Tamiya kits. Tamiya still makes a great fun kit that you could get out there, probably $300. There's the prices are coming down, but but the other problem is, and maybe is that the volume isn't there like it used to be, right? Because things are RC got really complicated, which shrunk it, and now we're trying, just like Slotcars, they're trying to make them more scale, in my opinion, and that's what's bringing Slotcars back, right?
I saw a lot of those bodies that is just nothing. It's just
there's
something.
nothing. The touring cars don't look like touring cars; they look like guppies now, but the Formula One is, I think, showing the industry if we're going to keep on-road racing around, we need to make it look like something. And to me, has always been the leader in that. And hopefully, they continue to make some stuff that spurs new classes and keeps us going.
It's very interesting. When I go to the toy fair in Germany, they have different ways to enjoy the hobby, but not like slot cars that you can enjoy at home. You can be a collector, you can join a club, you can go to a raceway. But RC, you have dragsters, you have trucks that people just park them. You have the indoors, you have the small Kyoshos, Tamiyas, whatever, that you run on a carpet, and then you have the road ones, and then you have the off-road ones. There's so many classes, and it's so spread, and you have the 164 now, and then there's the one that you try to buy out of China, and they ship the wrong stuff to you. Remember that one? He saw this good thing. Oh, gonna give to Marco as a gift. Took like 6 months. It was just a die-cast model. It didn't work.
Oh, that's funny.
So it's different to enjoy the slot cars. In slot cars, you kind of need the track and you need a base. And in RC, you can do in your driveway, you can do around your pool, you can do inside of a living room.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's such a different industry. And
it is. You can go like the trucks, like the Traxxas trucks.
The trucks are just
the trucks. I mean, those are you just go in a park and just
and
go
the
play
tanks,
and jump
the war
stuff. Yeah, oh yeah, the tanks.
The war stuff,
oh,
yeah.
Man. Yeah, there's...
over there, at the meet stand, they always have this huge Globetrotter Volvo truck that you can just go and go up, and it has a trailer, and people are parking. It's just like, it's what the hell?
Yes, they have those competitions, right? To
Yeah.
drive a real
Are you
truck.
road champ of that too?
No.
Okay.
No, I had to draw the line there.
You should give it a try.
Maybe I should. I am trying to experience all this as I get older, just to say I did it and I've done crawling now. You know, the RC crawling, which is really popular.
Which is another thing. They're going on rocks and just.
Mm-hmm. That's
oh my God.
That's amazing. That's where the modeling comes back in, which I love. That people are building them and making them scale to look like they're real crawlers.
There's a city in North California that they have this little crawling thing against the wall, and they try to close down. Right? The city came down to close down.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You know about that?
No, I haven't heard about that.
It's in the corner of a parking lot. It's just like a wall this size.
Yeah.
And the guy just built like a crawling circuit. And the city came, no, you need to shut down because kids can get hurt.
They could crawl up 4 feet. They're going to fall.
Yeah, it's like this size. And they have this big group coming. It's stupid.
Save us from ourselves, yes.
Where's the magic come from?
Well, magic, okay. So there's a magazine called Competition Plus back in the 80s, based here in L.A. And they dubbed me RC's Magic Johnson because Irving, the real Magic Johnson, had just joined the Lakers and was just getting into the NBA. So they dubbed me RC's Magic Johnson because I had won, it's like 10 national championships in.
By the time.
And so then what's funny, to continue the story, so Ernie from Trinity decided, let's trademark that. So he submits a trademark for Joel Magic Johnson, and he gets awarded. So I have a plaque at home from the trademark office for Joel Magic Johnson. Well, it took about 4 months for the real Magic Johnson to null and void that and send the letter and say, "Oh no, we were here first." But we had it for about 6 months. Yeah.
Okay, so, good. You can use that now.
But that's where it came from. The Competition Plus. I was on the cover, and that's what they put. So.
Joe, it was a pleasure to have you here. As I told you, I was avoiding the whole day, 2 days. I was like, no, I don't want to learn anything new about this man. I want to put him in front of the camera, and then it's going to be enjoyable. It was a privilege for us to have you here for your first slot car race. That adds a lot to our event. Well, and I hope that you can come down more often with Jason, because now you have the guys who can prepare your car. You learn the track, and you know that the event is cool. So I hope you can come by more times.
I would love to come back. I'm out of excuses now. Now that I have some experience, I can't say it's my first race. But yeah, I'm sure I'll be back. And you guys made it such a great event. And it's a pleasure to be here, and I really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.